Welcome back for a brand new episode of Let's Talk on Blue Ridge 11. I'm your host, Chad Landers. Thanks for joining me yet again. Can't thank you enough for checking us out. Now, we've been going strong here for 3 months. Absolutely love bringing you some unique, interesting, and quite honestly for me, some very fun conversations. And so far, it's been all fall sports athletes, but very soon we'll be turning to the winter athletes. Right now, though, we've got one last very special conversation that technically wrapped up the fall sports season in 2003. Here's another clue for you. My first guest, an absolute hero in the town of Manheim for not only helping to break the curse of the Barons in the state football playoffs, but for having one of the most iconic plays on the gridiron in Pennsylvania state playoff history. So let's welcome to the show Manheim Central graduate and Baron legend, Shawn Wilt. Shawn, how are you? Thanks so much for coming on Let's Talk today.
Yeah, great. Doing great. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, yeah, we've never had the pleasure of really talking in person all these years. Excited for our conversation and for everybody back at Manheim and, of course, all over Lancaster County. Why don't you tell everybody what you're up to these days?
Yeah, absolutely. After leaving Manheim, graduated from Florida Atlantic University, a mechanical engineering degree, joined the Navy, was a nuclear engineer, served for a little over 7 years in the Navy, worked for Carnival Cruise Lines for a few years before I transitioned now into my real passion in commercial real estate, where I'm the vice president of property management here for Plaza Equity Partners, part of a $1 billion development project.
All right. Navy, thank you so much for doing that and for your service there. We appreciate that. Of course, Veterans Day was a couple weeks ago. Let's talk about the reason you're here. In just a few short days on December 5th, it'll be exactly 17 years since you made one of the most memorable and incredible plays in Manheim Central football history. Let's take a look.
Overtime. Snap down, the kick is blocked. Manheim Central has won, and it's Wilt. Wilt blocked the extra point, and the Barons have won it.
Shawn, when you see that, what are the feelings and the memories that kind of come back?
I mean, it's a hot flash of emotions, excitement. I got goosebumps on my back right now. And it just the pile up. It's funny because there's mixed emotions. The pile up was miserable, pile on after the play, but the feeling and memory of that experience is just unforgettable for a lifetime.
Yeah, put it into words for everybody, what that meant for the program at the time. And of course for all you seniors there, for Coach Williams, it was such a huge moment.
Yeah, I mean, first time we ever made it that far. We're 0-8 in the state semifinals leading up to that game. Beat Strathaven 3-0 the week before. So everything was riding on that. We really had a big camaraderie from the seniors to the juniors to the sophomores across the team, and we really played as one team, not as an all-star or several all-stars on the team. And it was really a combined effort. Obviously, I was fortunate enough to be in the right place at the right time at the end of the game, but it's still just it was an incredible team effort throughout the entire season, and certainly that game.
What most people won't remember or maybe won't even realize, and I didn't even really know this until I went back and looked at some things, you really shouldn't have even been in the playoffs that year. In week 8, October 17th, you broke your leg against Ephrata, and the newspaper called it a season-ending injury, and you made it back in like 3 or 4 weeks. So how did you do that? How did you pull that off?
Yeah, I mean, one thing I think Coach Williams or anybody will say about me is I had one of the biggest hearts on the field, and when I got hurt, I wasn't about to let that finish my season. I was going to physical therapy and a chiropractor, 6 days a week. I would have went 7 if I could have, but they wouldn't open on Sunday for me. And essentially just did everything I could to come back. That weeks later against Hershey, it was the last home game that I was going to be able to play, wearing the Barons uniform. So I came back. I was only probably about 50-60% healthy. And I only played offense that game, but I wanted to get back out in the field, had, a few receptions and made the most of it.
All right, so let's talk about the 2003 state finals. Your fingerprints are all over this game. In the closing minutes of the fourth quarter, it was crunch time. Pine Richlands marching down the field. They throw a pass into the end zone to Neil Walker, a future Major League Baseball player, and you knock down the go-ahead touchdown pass. It was in his hands. You knock it out, you save the game. Then in double overtime, The first play of double overtime is a Jared Moyer pass to you that you barely snag, you almost fall down, and you score the game-winning touchdown. Just give us the feelings of going through all of that and even that last play when you score the touchdown.
I mean, obviously incredible. I think one of the crazy things about that is that I actually had a concussion in the third quarter. They tried to take my helmet away, and I said, "No way, get away from me," talking to the trainers, and came back. And, when you're playing in a game like that, there's this field speed and this field energy and this adrenaline that's running through you. And in those times, you're really just able to make some incredible plays. And again, it was a team effort, but I'm happy to have been where I was and able to contribute the way.
Okay, so let's get to your moment then. You scored in double overtime to give Manheim Central the lead. Pine Richland answers back, and they're kicking this extra point. It was, pretty standard, a pretty ordinary play, and somehow you get through the line untouched, you block it. What happened there, and what are you thinking as you're kind of flying through there untouched?
Yeah, I wasn't supposed to be blitzing or rushing or a part of that block. If you look back and watch the game, we had blocked an earlier extra point in the game. We had Jeremy Smith and Jeremiah Hunter going back and forth. They were our two main block guys that went off the edge. And in doing so, Pine Richland was shifting their tackles and tight ends and everything to overstack the line on the block side. As they're running back and forth, Jeremy Smith, the tight end went with Jeremiah Hunter to the other side. Jeremy Smith came back over, and they stayed stacked up on the other side. Looked down at the line of scrimmage. It was unmatched. Ryan Dennis stepped up and was going to blitz as well. And I stepped up, smacked Jeremy Smith on the hip and said, "Hey, man, take him out. Take him wide." And the wingback extended out to Ryan Dennis and Jeremy Smith, and nobody touched me, and the rest is history.
Wow, just incredible. Yeah, just whatever happened there was just an absolute magical moment. What was the celebration like in the locker room for you guys?
Ironically, I don't remember much of it because
right. Well, we're finding that out now, yeah. All right.
But obviously it was, it was great.
Yeah.
Certainly the next day and the following weeks and everything that came from the game, but it was great.
All right, one last question for you. You have a pretty awesome story about a jersey you had promised to give back to Coach Williams. Why don't you set that up and tell everybody about that?
Yeah, so the short version, I won the Junior Barons Camper of the Week when I was in 6th grade. The winning prize for that was this autographed Hula Bowl jersey from Mike Rule, who went on to play in the NFL. And I won that jersey, right? And so after the camp, Coach Williams comes up to me and is talking to my mom, saying I'm a great player, this and that, keep him in football, and looks down at me and goes, "Wilt, I give you $50 for that jersey right now." I don't know what 11-year-old thinks about winning a state championship football game, but I looked up at him and said, "No way, Coach, but you know what? My senior year when we win states, I'll give it to you." And, sure enough, first time we make it, first time, we win the state title, I'm the guy that blocked the kick. I don't think I have superhuman powers, but yeah, it's a pretty incredible story.
You called your shot. It's amazing that it happened. Unbelievable. I love that story. I found that somewhere and I knew we had to tell it. When you go back to Manheim, if you ever make it back, do you have free drinks or a free meal or free anything waiting for you back in Manheim?
I still have my lifetime membership at the band club.
Oh, wow.
It was promised to me when I was 17 years old.
Good. Well, you earned it. Obviously a huge football town there in Manheim. Thank you so much for coming on Let's Talk. We love sharing the memories with everybody, with me. It's just fun reliving it. Thank you so much. Can't thank you enough for all your time.
Appreciate you. Thanks for having me.